What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Niners News here on 49ers Hive. My name is Zach Hernandez, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Matt Llewellyn, and today we are going to be previewing the 49ers' future at the cornerback position. Matt, after Sunday night, everybody's talking about Jason Verrett, Emmanuel Moseley. These are the two guys moving forward. Do you agree with that premise, or do you think it's a little too soon to be saying that?
It's definitely too soon to say that, and I would caution fans. It was really weird. I saw online where people were like, Verrett over Sherman, sign Verrett over Sherman. And I'm like, even Anthony on the recap show was saying that he thought Sherman was injury prone. And, I had to point out, like, other than the Achilles injury and then this current calf injury, because it could be Achilles related if you let it flare up, he hasn't really missed a ton of games. Whereas Jason Verrett has played 29 career games in 6 seasons, and one season, that 2016 season with the Chargers, 2017 season, excuse me, was the only one where he played in double-digit games for the year. It's obvious that he has cornerback one talent. That's not a question at all. But the question is, if you give him a contract, what's his availability going to be going forward? It's always going to be a risk that he's injured. And I'm so surprised that when we were doing our live show that I was getting pushback on that. It seems to me like it's a fairly obvious thing that Jason Verrett, that's always been the thing on him. Man, he's really good, but he's always hurt, and just because he's had good games and had a good season so far for the 49ers, that doesn't change the history of injury for him, and it doesn't change the potential risk for injury going forward. So if you can sign him for, a value deal, something that's not going to break the bank, then absolutely you bring him back and he can start at one of the corner spots for sure, for as long as he stays healthy. The problem is there are a lot of bad GMs out there that are willing to throw cash at their problems. And I can just see somebody, it doesn't have to be like a Jalen Ramsey deal, but somebody's going to give him a little bit of money. And more importantly, they're going to give him years. He might get, if he got a 4-year deal for $30 million, that's too rich for the 49ers. I don't think they can't afford that. You know what I mean? And that'd be great for Jason Verrett. I don't knock any player trying to get paid, but this idea that he would take a hometown discount because the 49ers gave him, his chance, that's cool. I don't think it's very realistic though, because that doesn't happen very often. That usually happens with like a super top end guy, usually at the end of his career where he's made enough money and he's just like, well, I'll take a hometown discount because I know how important I am to this. And, you see it in the NBA, like I want to win a championship before I go or whatever, That's not really the case here where football careers are short. And Jason Verrett already knows better than anybody else that injuries can happen out of nowhere and they could sap you of your entire career. So, for him, if somebody throws money at him, I fully expect him to take it. As far as Moseley looks pretty good, but I think that he is always going to be limited by not being quite as athletic as a lot of the other guys. And, not being as athletic while also not having the length and, the mental aptitude for the game that somebody like Richard Sherman does, who can overcome some of his athletic deficiencies by just being one of the smartest players on the field. You can't expect Hall of Fame intellect out of every single player on the 49ers. And, I think Moseley is one of those guys where you catch him, out of pocket every now and again. You catch him out of alignment, peeking in somebody else's zone and he can get beat. But I do think that he's a little bit more consistent than Ahkello Witherspoon, even though Ahkello is easily the better athlete. So going forward, I think that spot's going to be up for grabs. Really, the guy that nobody talks about that I think is the best in the room is K'Waun Williams. And he's the guy that I think that the 49ers have to get back there no matter what, because he's just so good. K'Waun Williams really is the guy that, they need to re-sign. He's one of the best slot corners in the NFL. You're looking at him, and even though, Ahkello Witherspoon and Emmanuel Moseley are similar, types of players as far as consistency goes, Ahkello is obviously the better athlete. So he's going to be a guy that they're going to keep around just off of pure athletic ability. So, going forward, I think really realistically, the 49ers will probably bring back Sherman. Even though he's declined and he hasn't been available, he's a vital part of this team. And I don't know that anybody else is willing to give him any type of big money deal. I think that, this last deal of him signing it himself is kind of going to be it for him. And it's really going to depend on, what his ego allows him to take. So really the future for the 49ers at cornerback, unfortunately, is really up in the air. It's just not a lot of, sure things that we're seeing. And that presents a problem. And that's why I've been saying that, we need to spend a draft pick there, because there's no way that you can just, either trust an oft-injured Verrett or trust that Emmanuel Mosley is going to develop, a super developed football IQ like Richard Sherman has, or that Richard Sherman is going to be able to push Father Time away even more, or that Akello is going to become more consistent than he is. K1 is the surest bet in the cornerback room, and so you have to bring him back. But then everybody else is up for grabs too. They're all on expiring deals, so one way or another, there's going to be new blood in here somewhere, and it's just a matter of whether that's through the draft or whether you sign somebody different. You never know, but. Yeah, I don't think it's established enough that we can kind of make guesses. There's so many things that are up in the air that, it makes it hard to kind of predict the future on this.
Yeah, and, going back to Jason Verrett, I'll admit I kind of fell victim to it too, and I even tweeted out today. Imagine, I texted in the group chat too, imagine if they had this Jason Verrett in the Super Bowl, and there's no guarantee that he would have been this good or he even would have been healthy. So I'll admit I fell victim to it too. I think that the 49ers, like you said, it's like found money. They just need to get everything they can out of it until it turns to crap, because it seems like sooner or later it will, unfortunately. And that's not me being a pessimist, it's me being a realist. Jason Verrett is always, fool's gold. And, it turns out to be gold right now for the time being. They got to enjoy it while it lasts, and maybe it does last for the time being or for the long term. Maybe it is. He has turned the corner on injuries, and maybe this is who he is now. However, he hasn't proved that. His track record doesn't show that. As far as moving forward, if you would tell me right now that the starting cornerbacks for next season would be Emmanuel Mosley and Jason Verrett, I would understand. I would be a little disappointed that they didn't address it. In the offseason in any way, in the draft, in free agency, and anything, because that would be 3 or 4 straight years of doing nothing at the position outside of Akello Witherspoon. So I would understand it, but I want to see them do something more at that position. They need to get some young talent in there. It's like they took Akello and they're like, see, we did something. Leave us alone now. Yeah. It's like, it needs more than that. You got to do more than that. You can't count on Jason Verrett.
And things change so quick.
Exactly,
We go back to week 3 last year, the home opener against Pittsburgh, where we were at that game. And what everybody say? Jason Verrett went in there for an injured Akello. What happened? He got cooked. And everybody was like, well, Jason Verrett sucks. He's garbage. And now it's like a Jason Verrett love fest, and well-deserved, because he's playing absolutely outstanding and out of his mind. But let's not forget that was 1 year between then and now. And that's how quickly things can change and perceptions can change on players. But that doesn't change the, multiple year injury history for Jason Verrett. So I caution the fans. Again, I've gotten pushback on this, but I caution everybody to fall in love with this guy and be ready to just all of a sudden crown him the 49ers starter for the next 5 years. Things come at you quickly. And, we're still only in week 6. We don't even know if he's going to make it through this season healthy. And knock on wood, I really hope he does. We've had enough injuries for this year. And you would think that, the roll of the dice as far as injury luck would be on his side, at least for now. But definitely, again, he went from trash to treasure real quick. And it can be just as quick the other way around. And nobody's rooting for that to happen. I'm going to put that out there because, some people will just call me a hater or whatever. And that's fine. You can think that. But it's not accurate. I hope that he has all the success in the world. And I actually hope that somebody does give him a lot of money. But if somebody does, it's not going to be the 49ers. And, that's just going to be something that the fan base has to, keep in the back of their mind when it comes to this whole thing going forward.
Yeah, and as far as him playing out of his mind, per PFF, he's allowed a pass rating of 7.8, which is the best in the NFL. That's amazing, but I will add it's not sustainable. That's not something that's going to be, the same number come week 17.
Right.
And they didn't provide the context to that stat, so who knows how many times he's even been targeted. But I think I'll end with this. That interception he had Sunday night against the Rams, that was phenomenal.
Brilliant.
That was
Brilliant.
amazing to watch, and I was so happy for him because you could just tell he was like overcome with joy that he's finally back in the NFL. He's finally playing at a high level, and just like you said, Matt, I really hope it lasts for him, and I hope a team gives him a lot of money. I just hope it's not this team. If he's willing to come back on a reasonable deal for the team that they can work with their kind of strapped salary cap, 100%, I am all for it. But do not give this guy, 8-9 million per for 3 to 4 years. They can't afford that. I'd rather them draft a rookie.
No, not with everybody else that they have to resign, because we get. I mean, the list is just. I mean, we got Warner coming up, and we got Deebo Samuel's going to be up in 2 years, and Nick Bosa is going to be up in 2 years, and it goes far beyond just this season. I mean, we got to re-sign Tart if we can. There's the entire cornerback room, like we talked about. We're going to have to get a new offensive lineman here at some point. Trent Williams needs an extension. Again, there's a ton of mouths to feed and not enough, food to go around. And unfortunately, Verrett is the guy that I would feel comfortable letting walk for a big money deal just because of the injury history. And again, I wish him all the success in the world. And I absolutely hope that somebody pays him. He played absolutely phenomenally the other night. Beyond the interception that he almost had another interception, a big-time pass breakup. So as long as he continues to play like that, there's no reason somebody won't pay him. But, we do have to, kind of get outside of our comfort zone and live outside of the moment when it comes to the future of this team, because there's a lot of things up in the air in that cornerback room, and, it's going to be a long time before we figure it out.
And I think we'll end it there, guys. I want to thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Niners News here on 49ers Hive. If you like what you see, do us a solid. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment below. What do you see as a future at the cornerback position here in Santa Clara, I should say? Do you think Jason Verrett will get a big contract elsewhere? Do you think the 49ers end up keeping him? Make sure you leave a comment with your thoughts below.
Go ahead and click the bell, turn on your notifications so you never miss another video. And until next time, go Niners.